The story begins by showing Leo, an elderly gentleman, known for his expertise in the art of thievery. He pays a visit to his longtime companion, Stan, who has transitioned from a life of crime to owning a humble shop. Initially, Stan hesitates when Leo proposes a return to their illicit activities. However, as soon as he learns about the staggering worth of their potential heist, amounting to a jaw-dropping $7 billion, he finds himself irresistibly drawn towards the allure of such vast riches. According to Leo's intelligence, the treasure lies within an underground safe, encased in layers of impenetrable concrete fortified with steel. Moreover, this secure vault is further safeguarded by 3 cobalt-coated doors. Gaining access to the vault door is no easy feat, as they must navigate through a perilous floor equipped with biometric sensors linked to a military-grade security team. Leo reveals that the owners of this invaluable treasure are none other than the infamous Dragon Trio. First, there is Choi, a prominent shareholder of Bank John, which holds the esteemed position of being South Korea's largest private bank. Then comes Susanna, a formidable business leader hailing from Duncan, Wales, known for her close ties with the Queen of England. Last but not least is Stefan, the CEO of a renowned Swiss bank. Together, these 3 individuals preside over an astronomical fortune of $500 trillion. Furthermore, they have devious plans to launder $7 billion worth of bonds, intending to store them securely within the aforementioned safe. Meanwhile, a figure named Roger enters the scene, serving as the security director of the highly fortified SLS vault, which happens to be the very location Leo has set his sights upon. Roger gathers his team, including a competent staff member named Hannah, as they prepare to face the impending threat. Engrossed in the discussion, Stan raises a valid point that executing such an audacious heist would require a substantial capital investment of at least $500,000. Additionally, they realize that assembling a skilled team of accomplices is crucial to their success. In the meantime, within the confines of the Philadelphia police headquarters, Judy finds herself in a predicament. The police demand that she identifies a suspect from a lineup, but she has ulterior motives. Judy's true intention is to exonerate her husband, Bob, from the clutches of the law. Upon Bob's release from prison, the couple rendezvous at a local bar, patiently awaiting the arrival of their old comrade, Stan, who once shared their exploits. In a twist of fate, Stan introduces them to Leo, who wastes no time in outlining his grandiose robbery scheme, promising an equitable distribution of approximately $1 billion to each participant. Judy and Bob, enticed by the staggering sum, readily agree to partake in the dangerous endeavor. When they delve deeper into the details, Judy astutely surmises that the intricate security system guarding the coveted safe must have an inside collaborator aiding Leo's cause. Meanwhile, Roger entrusts the responsibility of overseeing the impregnable SLS safe security system to Hannah, a trusted member of his team. As time passes, Leo's path intersects with Alpha, a formidable woman who happens to be a lawyer. Leo recognizes her skills as an invaluable asset to his grand robbery plan and involves her in the scheme. In a show of trust, Alpha reveals her weapon to Leo, solidifying her commitment to the mission. Recognizing her crucial role, Leo assures Alpha that she will be rewarded handsomely with $1 billion. Another crucial member required for the operation is a skilled and reliable driver named Roy Jr., commonly known as RJ. Leo sets out to recruit RJ, knowing that his expertise behind the wheel will be indispensable in their daring endeavor. In due course, Leo assembles his carefully chosen team, each member playing a vital role in the audacious heist. Leo divulges that Roger, the target of their theft, is a conceited man, overconfident in the belief that money and technology will shield him from harm. However, Leo perceives this arrogance as Roger's Achilles heel, a vulnerability that will serve as their entry point. Leo instructs the team to compile a comprehensive list of necessary equipment, ensuring that calculate the required funds for procurement. Meanwhile, Hannah, loyal to Roger, discovers a breach in the security protocols and promptly reports it to Roger and his deputy director, Andrew. After meticulously calculating their required funds amounting to $350,000 or $5 billion, Leo and his team embark on their mission. Initially, Leo plans to target a horse racing bookie known for safeguarding millions of dollars in his secure safe. However, Bob proposes an alternative idea: to steal a precious diamond from a sales center in New York. Bob believes the security guards at the location are relatively weak, presenting a more favorable opportunity. With their plan in motion, the team springs into action. Stan skillfully disguises himself as a street performer, blending seamlessly into the bustling surroundings. Meanwhile, Judy assumes the role of a curious tourist, discreetly observing the movements of the security personnel. Strategically, they place smoke grenades inside a nearby trash can, creating a diversionary explosion that engulfs the diamond shop. Seizing the opportune moment, Leo's team subdues the disoriented security guard and proceeds to loot the diamond shop. However, complications arise when Bob's insatiable greed leads him to target the most exquisite and valuable diamonds, disregarding the limited time they have for the operation. In the chaos that ensues, Bob's hand is wounded by a vigilant security guard. Thankfully, Alpha swiftly intervenes, providing aid to Bob and enabling the team to escape just moments before law enforcement arrives at the scene. Meanwhile, Hannah finds herself in a personal predicament as she grapples with an unexpected pregnancy. Struggling to reach her boyfriend, she confides in her sister, Liz, to share her concerns. As they converse, they chance upon a news segment on television showcasing footage of a daring diamond shop robbery. The following day, Hannah, concerned for her sister's well-being, offers Liz a job at her office, providing her with employment after a period of unemployment. Meanwhile, Roger gathers his staff in response to Hannah's report regarding protocol violations. Among them is Razif, a junior deputy director from India, who was previously under suspicion of breaching protocol. To unravel the truth, Roger instructs Carlos, the head of security, to search Andrew's bag. Astonishingly, they discover a crucial piece of evidence, a flash drive that incriminates Andrew. Consequently, Andrew is promptly dismissed from his position. In a surprising twist, Hannah is appointed as the new senior deputy director, replacing Andrew. This promotion brings her great joy and serves as a rewarding culmination of her 8 years of dedicated work. However, after her shift concludes, Hannah secretly meets with Leo, revealing herself as the insider at SLS who collaborated with him to access the monumental $100 trillion bond. Fearing for Leo's safety, she expresses her worries about potential danger looming over him. It is then revealed that Hannah was the one who framed Andrew, as evidenced by the missing flash drive from his possession. The scene transitions to a flashback set 7 years ago, revealing Leo confined within the confines of a prison cell. Passing his time creatively, Leo meticulously crafts delicate soap butterflies, channeling his artistic talents. Simultaneously, in her own residence, Judy engages in clandestine activity, coating lollipops with drugs. She shrewdly bartered the drug candies for multiple SIM cards, cleverly concealing them within her belongings as she entered the prison premises. To the officer's surprise, no illicit items are discovered during the routine inspection of Judy's possessions. In a cunning move, Judy discreetly hands Stan a faux fingernail harboring a hidden SIM card. Within the prison walls, Stan proceeds to sell these nail-shaped drug candies. As time progresses, Stan finds himself facing animosity from the white prison gangsters, who harbor disdain for his involvement in selling drugs to fellow black prisoners. This leads to Stan being subjected to physical abuse until Leo steps in to protect his cellmate. Through this ordeal, Stan confides in Leo, expressing his profound love for Judy and his aspirations to marry her. However, Leo encounters difficulties as he attempts to create another soap butterfly, his trembling hand impeding his artistic endeavor. During one fateful night, Leo suffers a fall from his bed, necessitating his immediate transfer to the prison clinic for medical evaluation. Simultaneously, Judy reveals to Stan that their drug smuggling operation must come to an end. The supplier responsible for providing the drugs has been dismissed by their boss. In due course, Dr. Warner, a prison physician, arrives at the correctional facility in his car to assess Leo's condition. After a thorough examination, Dr. Warner delivers a somber diagnosis. Leo is likely suffering from Parkinson's disease. Determined not to spend his remaining days confined within prison walls, Leo turns to Stan for assistance in organizing the necessary tools for an escape plan. Initially hesitant, Stan fears that evading capture would only result in a lengthier sentence. The following day, Judy returns to the prison, accompanied by her newfound acquaintances, among whom is none other than Bob. This marks the first encounter between Bob and Stan. However, it soon becomes apparent that Bob trivializes Stan's drug-related activities within the prison. Disapproving of Bob and reluctant to witness Judy's involvement with him, Stan ultimately decides to join Leo in their daring escape from prison. Stan reveals a crucial component of their plan, a batch of intoxicated mushrooms. While working in the prison park, Stan inadvertently tosses a stone into a lawnmower, causing it to hurl the stone and damage Dr. Warner's car windshield. Consequently, Dr. Warner requires repairs and opts to utilize the prison workshop. Taking advantage of the situation, Leo cunningly duplicates the key carried by the prison warden. He then proceeds to the prison workshop, where he discovers the contents of Dr. Warner's trunk. Meanwhile, Stan discreetly incorporates the drunken mushrooms into the food intended for the prisoners. As the prisoners consume the laced meals, their behavior becomes increasingly erratic and unhinged. Observing the chaos unfold, Stan purposefully injures his hand, creating a reason to be taken to the medical room alongside Leo. Within the passage of time, the prison descends into utter pandemonium, requiring the presence of all officers and nurses to restore order among the affected prisoners. Seizing the opportune moment, Leo and Stan make their escape. They manage to open their handcuffs and reach the prison door. However, their progress is impeded by the sudden appearance of approaching officers, posing a new challenge for their escape. In a selfless act, Stan abandons his own escape plan and devises a diversion to draw the attention of the officers, enabling Leo to make a clean getaway. Leo cleverly hides inside the modified trunk of Dr. Warner's car. Meanwhile, Dr. Warner informs the warden that the effects of the mushrooms will wear off within 3 hours, relieving the officers of any concern and negating the need for administering citrus fruits to the prisoners. However, when Dr. Warner opens his trunk, Leo is nowhere to be found. Unknown to Dr. Warner, Leo has discreetly remained hidden behind the back seat of his car. Upon exiting the vehicle, Dr. Warner unknowingly provides Leo with an opportunity to steal his car. In due course, Leo arrives at Alpha's residence, seeking her assistance and presenting her with a diamond in exchange for help in escaping the country. Alpha agrees to aid Leo, but before their departure, Leo expresses his desire to meet Hana, who unbeknownst to him, is his daughter. Shortly thereafter, FBI agent Nazan Abbasi arrives at Dr. Warner's house, seeking information regarding the escaped prisoner known as Leo. Leo reunites with Hana after 17 years of imprisonment. Initially, Hana feels disappointment and resentment towards Leo for refusing to see her earlier. Leo justifies his decision, explaining that he didn't want to destroy Hana's life with his presence behind bars. During their meeting, Leo learns that Hana is working for someone he knows, Roger. On another front, Agent Abbasi meets with Alpha to gather information about Leo. Alpha admits to assisting Leo in his transfer to another prison due to being targeted by a white prison gang. Later in the evening, Abbasi receives a report of Dr. Warner's car engulfed in flames with a human corpse inside. Upon investigation, it is revealed that the deceased individual is Ray, Leo's true identity. Unbeknownst to everyone, Alpha had orchestrated a deception to fake Leo's death, while Leo himself decided against fleeing abroad upon discovering Hana's affiliation with Roger, the man who had seemingly taken everything from him. Leo is determined to protect Hana from falling under Roger's influence. Ray assumes the identity of Leo and writes a letter to Hana, unveiling the true nature of Roger's identity and intentions. Returning to the present, Leo proceeds to reveal Roger's true identity as the president-director of SLS, the largest financial security company on the east coast of the United States. Despite the public perception of Roger as a respectable and successful entrepreneur, his true character remains shrouded in secrecy. Returning to Leo's leadership of the SLS robbery plan, their first mission unfolds at the Wall Street 505 location. Leo explains that SLS covertly implanted a transmitter code within an armored truck that frequently passes through Wall Street 505. RJ's role is to be present at that location on a bicycle, allowing him to closely approach the truck and hack into the vault's password. Their second task involves infiltrating the SLS building under the guise of being escorted by armed officers. Additionally, several elevators within the building are under constant CCTV surveillance. Prior to accessing the vault's hallway, they must navigate through the heavily guarded lobby, protected by military-grade officers. To gain entry into the hallway, they require an access card identical to the one used by Roger. Inside the vault's hallway, an intricate security system employs multi-matrix biometrics, utilizing advanced cameras and infrared light to detect any presence. Successfully maneuvering through this section, they face the challenge of opening the safe door and disabling the temperature sensors. However, only Roger possesses the daily changing door code, making access seemingly impossible. Nevertheless, Leo reveals a strategy they can employ, creating a backdoor that would allow them to move the Bond assets into the awaiting truck within a mere hour. Meanwhile, Roger, in his presentation on the impenetrable security of his safe, confidently asserts to Stefan that it is the most secure vault in the world. Stefan appears to agree to the plan of relocating the Dragon Trio's bonds to Roger's SLS vault. In due time, Judy meticulously counts the 100 trillion bonds, which collectively weigh a ton. Stan, on the other hand, procures the necessary bees for their upcoming heist. Infiltrating Roger's residence, Leo sets his sights on obtaining Roger's fingerprints. Engaging in casual conversation, Stan shares his aspirations of purchasing a vineyard once he accumulates $1 billion, while RJ dreams of acquiring an antique car. However, tensions rise when Judy and Bob express their differing dreams, leading to a heated exchange between Stan and Bob. Shifting focus back to Leo, who has gained access to Roger's room, he surveys the photographs and luxurious clock collection owned by Roger. In an unexpected turn of events, Roger engages in a meeting with the Dragon Trio, only to discover their proposition of swapping the previous Bond assets with different, legally compliant holdings. The operation must remain clandestine and be executed swiftly. Despite the risk, Roger reluctantly agrees to their request. Upon returning home, while tending to his eye, Roger receives a call from a certain individual named Graham, demanding the transfer of $4.3 million within 3 days, under the threat of dire consequences. The following day, Razif reports a problem with the temperature sensor of the safe's back door. Hana, uncertain about the security system's modifications since its construction 7 years prior, hesitates. Nonetheless, Roger commissions them to rectify the temperature sensor issue. Subsequently, Roger instructs Carlos to trace and apprehend the person responsible for the threats against him before seeking medical attention for his eye. The subsequent day, Alpha conveys to Leo that the back door of the safe has been sealed shut. She strongly suspects that Roger intentionally closed it, preempting a potential break-in. Alpha suggests reconsidering the plan, but Leo's deep-seated resentment towards Roger, accumulated over decades, refuses to waver. Meanwhile, Roger seeks out Andrew, who has ventured into the computer business following his termination. Andrew maintains his innocence, believing he never stole from Roger. However, he is the one attempting to blackmail Roger, demanding $4.3 million. Andrew threatens to expose Roger's true identity to the Dragon Trio and the FBI unless his demands are fulfilled. Unexpectedly, Roger eliminates Andrew, ending the threat he posed. Following the ordeal, Roger seeks solace in the sauna to unwind his body and mind. Unbeknownst to him, Leo lurks behind, harboring the intention to end Roger's life. However, as Roger mentions the Sahara storm, Leo's perspective suddenly shifts, sparking a new idea for their approach to breaking into the safe. Upon returning to the base, Leo incorporates the impending Sahara storm into their strategy to reopen the back door of the SLS vault. Intrigued by Leo's idea, Judy reveals her chemical experiment involving pure cesium oxidation. When the storm arrives, rainwater will inundate Wall Street Station, and they plan to utilize explosives to disrupt the water flow within the subway tunnel, enabling them to ascend to the top of the SLS vault. A large-scale implementation of Judy's chemical experiment will be utilized to disable the SLS vault's temperature sensor, resulting in the reopening of the back door. Though acknowledging the extremity of the plan, the team reaches a unanimous decision to proceed with it. Moments later, the long-awaited storm finally strikes New York City. Simultaneously, the FBI agent receives crucial information regarding the impending heist of the SLS vault, while Roger himself is caught off guard by a phone call from Stefan, who reveals his awareness of Roger's concealed past. Back at their base, Leo's raiding team diligently prepares for their final plan, fully committed to the forthcoming heist. The scene shifts to Abbasi's life as an FBI agent, who had previously battled drug addiction before returning to active service. In an operation aimed at apprehending criminals, Abbasi successfully tracks down the hideout of the perpetrator, engaging in a brief altercation. Despite the resistance, Abbasi manages to apprehend the criminal, earning praise from her fellow FBI agent. Shortly thereafter, Agent Toby informs Abbasi about the discovery of Alpha's fingerprints on a bullet casing found at the scene of the diamond heist. Eager to investigate further, Abbasi promptly meets with Ted, the FBI agent in charge of the case. However, Ted, due to past conflicts with Alpha, is reluctant to share this crucial information with Abbasi. Meanwhile, Alpha plans to sell the stolen diamond to a dealer named Javier. However, trouble stirs when Bob insists on accompanying Alpha during the transaction. After negotiations, they receive a payment of $400,000. Dissatisfied, Bob impulsively steals Javier's gold watch. In another aspect of Abbasi's life, she engages in a video call with her son, who resides with her husband. Abbasi continues to face challenges in securing custody of her son. Returning to FBI headquarters, RJ proposes utilizing a 2003 CV car for their robbery, as he believes it is ideally suited for their plan. Soon after, Bob and Alpha arrive to distribute the proceeds from the diamond sale, intending to allocate most of the funds towards renting a new headquarters for their robbery plan. In due course, Alpha assumes the identity of Rose, posing as a businesswoman, and deliberately chooses an apartment in the same location as Roger. During this period, Alpha resides with her mother, Teresa. The following day, Alpha is summoned to FBI headquarters, where she learns that her fingerprints have been found on a bullet casing recovered from the scene of the diamond heist. However, Alpha remains unfazed by this revelation, as she had previously reported her gun stolen a month ago. She explains that she had handled the bullet herself, resulting in her fingerprints being present on the shell casing. As she exits the interrogation room, Alpha spots Abbasi and immediately alerts Leo, urging him to remain vigilant. Alpha deems Abbasi to be a dangerous agent, based on their previous encounter. Abbasi had been reported by Alpha 7 years ago when she was interrogated while intoxicated due to drug use. This incident resulted in Abbasi's suspension. On a separate front, Abbasi meets with her boss, expressing her desire to be involved in the diamond theft case and assuring that her intentions are not driven by a personal vendetta against Alpha. However, her boss decides to keep Ted in charge of the ongoing investigation. After settling into their new headquarters in a residential apartment, Leo's team of robbers swiftly commence their preparations by obtaining a comprehensive, four-dimensional blueprint of the SLS company building, including the location of the vault. RJ utilizes advanced sensors inserted into the sewer and air vents to gather crucial information about the building's layout. Their primary concerns lie with the temperature and biometric sensors within the vault. Prior to these events, Alpha had attempted to persuade her mother, Teresa, to move out of the city, but Teresa adamantly refused. Unexpectedly, Bob arrives at Alpha's house, expressing his desire to be involved in the upcoming heist, despite his pre-existing hand injury that could pose challenges in his ability to contribute effectively. Recognizing the importance of Judy to the team's success, Alpha reluctantly grants Bob a chance to participate, albeit with a reduced share of $10,000 instead of the previously promised $1 billion. Unbeknownst to Alpha, she is being observed by Abbasi. However, Abbasi quickly departs as she receives a call from a juvenile court judge. Subsequently, Abbasi shares all the information she has gathered about the robbery team with Agent Toby. It is revealed that aside from Alpha, Judy and her husband, Bob, have also eluded detection regarding their involvement in the diamond theft. In the meantime, Bob peruses a medical report revealing the limitations of his hand's functionality. Soon after, Judy and Stan arrive, their familiarity with each other triggering Bob's jealousy and nearly resulting in a confrontation. Unbeknownst to them, the incident is covertly recorded by Agent Toby. During the evening, Toby and Abbasi intensify their efforts to trace Stan's background, aiming to uncover evidence linking him to Judy. Their investigation reveals that Leo was Stan's former cellmate, and Alpha served as Leo's lawyer. Based on this information, Abbasi becomes convinced that Alpha is implicated in the conspiracy. However, the FBI agents have officially confirmed Leo's death in the fire at Dr. Warner's place. In light of this, Toby informs Abbasi about an upcoming meeting between Alpha and an unknown individual in the middle of the night. Toby shares this information with Abbasi as Toby has an appointment with Ted, leaving Abbasi to clandestinely monitor Alpha during the nocturnal rendezvous. When Alpha enters a nightclub, Abbasi momentarily loses sight of her due to a camera distraction. However, when Abbasi resumes pursuit, she discovers that the person she thought was Alpha is not her at all. Instead, Abbasi is apprehended by the police, who discover a package of drugs in her suit pocket. It becomes evident that Alpha had orchestrated this plan to ensnare Abbasi. This predicament puts Abbasi in significant trouble, as she faces the risk of losing custody of her son due to drug-related findings. However, Abbasi refuses to surrender. Determined to suppress Alpha's actions, she sets her sights on Teresa, Alpha's mother. When Alpha returns home, she discovers that her mother is nowhere to be found. Eventually, Alpha and Abbasi cross paths at a designated location. Abbasi presents a photograph showcasing Teresa's current situation, detained by immigration and facing the threat of deportation to her home country, despite having resided in the United States for 40 years. Abbasi offers to secure Teresa's release on the condition that Alpha becomes an informant for the grand robbery planned by Leo's team. In the end, Teresa is released, signifying that Alpha is faced with a difficult choice that requires her to betray her friends. The scene transports us 24 years into the past, where Leo has honed his expertise in the art of robbery. Leo visits a lavish mansion, home to a safe that will be the target of his theft. Meanwhile, in a bar, Roger engages in conversation with a banker, and their attention is drawn to two attractive women present in the establishment. The banker invites Roger and the women to his house, coinciding with Leo's attempt to infiltrate the banker's safe. As Roger ascends the stairs, it is revealed that he and Leo are in fact accomplices, jointly orchestrating this robbery. Leo successfully opens the safe, but a sudden surprise arises when the banker ascends to the floor. In a desperate bid to evade detection, Leo hides inside the safe, struggling to catch his breath. Acting swiftly, Roger reopens the safe just in time, allowing Leo to escape from the house. The following day, Leo shares the outcome of the heist with Roger, reflecting on the near-death experience he had endured inside the safe. Later, Leo returns home to his wife and daughter, who is none other than Hannah. While taking his daughter for a walk, Roger contacts Leo, urging him to get back into action. Their next target, Las Vegas. From that point on, Leo begins to sell his stolen items with the assistance of Alpha. As Hannah grows older, she becomes increasingly curious about Leo's line of work. Eventually, Leo confides in Roger, urging him to retire from their life of crime. Together with his wife, Lily, Leo decides to open a motorcycle workshop. However, they encounter a hurdle as they struggle to attract customers and must still contend with bank installments. Shortly after, Roger approaches Leo once again, urging him to return to thieving due to a dire need for money. Despite the temptation, Leo stands firm in his repentance and declines Roger's offer. Meanwhile, Lily works as an administrative assistant at a diamond sales company. One day, Hannah visits Lily's workplace, but she ventures into a restricted hallway and finds herself in trouble. Leo happens to be present and witnesses the incident, wherein Lily's boss mistreats Hannah. Fueled by anger at the boss's behavior, Leo takes offense, resulting in Lily losing her job. Following this incident, Leo devises a plan to rob Lily's former workplace, enlisting Roger's help. Their plan involves substituting counterfeit goods for fancy jewelry. However, Leo keeps his intentions hidden from Lily, as he had promised to retire from a life of thievery. On the night of the heist, Leo and Roger disguise themselves to infiltrate the location, while Lily remains at home with Hannah. Unexpectedly, Lily receives a call from her ex-boss, urging her to return to work. In the midst of the operation, Leo poses as a waitress to gain access to the luxury jewelry storage room, with Roger keeping a watchful eye from the outside. When a model and her guard approach the room where Leo is located, Roger swiftly alerts Leo. Meanwhile, Lily finds herself assigned to a special room to carry out her administrative duties, recording purchase invoices. When Leo successfully replaces the jewelry with a fake diamond, he becomes aware of another model and her guard about to enter the storage room. However, a problem arises when the guard notices one of Leo's forgotten tools, prompting Roger to swiftly immobilize the guard. Amidst the chaos, Roger decides to set the room ablaze. However, as Leo emerges from the room, he notices Lily's car in the parking lot. Concerned for his wife's safety, Leo makes the difficult choice to re-enter the building in an attempt to rescue her. Tragically, Lily becomes trapped in a locked room. While Roger, whose true name is Graham, possesses the means to save Lily, he instead chooses to abandon her in order to save himself. Lily is subsequently taken to the hospital, and it remains uncertain whether she will survive. At this moment, Leo has his final encounter with Hana. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Leo entrusts Hana's well-being to Alpha, teaching her to walk with steadfast determination. Leo himself is apprehended by the authorities, marking the end of his criminal journey. Meanwhile, on the boat, Leo, Alpha, Judy, and Stan find themselves after successfully executing their robbery. However, Leo faced a momentary struggle when his foot became trapped while diving near the safe. Fortunately, he managed to free himself and regroup with the rest of the team at their headquarters to pack their belongings. During this time, Judy begins to suspect that something is amiss as she realizes the stolen bonds are missing from her truck. She becomes convinced that there must be a traitor among them who leaked their plans. Shortly after, Stan arrives at the base and accuses Judy as he is unaware of Bob's whereabouts. In the meantime, Roger and Hana are left in shock by the intrusion into their safe. Carlos, who had been attacked, has just regained consciousness. To their astonishment, they discover that the CCTV footage from the past 6 hours has been deleted. Moreover, the sight of thousands of wasps swarming the vaulted aisle leaves Roger utterly bewildered. The situation escalates when two FBI agents, Abbasi and Toby, arrive to initiate an investigation. However, Hana and Roger adamantly refuse to grant them entry unless the agents present an official letter of investigation. While the pieces of the puzzle start to come together, Stefan continues to contact Roger to ensure the safety of his treasure. When Roger checks his safe, he discovers it to be empty. Suspicion falls upon Stan as Roger finds his glasses near the safe, linking him to the robbery. Additionally, other items belonging to Leo's team are found in close proximity to the safe, further fueling Roger's doubts. Meanwhile, Abbasi reviews street CCTV footage and identifies Alpha with a truck transporting the stolen bonds. The pieces of evidence slowly begin to connect, leading Abbasi to uncover new information. She realizes that Roger is an old acquaintance of Ray, also known as Leo, who was responsible for a fire at a diamond exhibition site 24 years ago. As Roger starts putting the pieces together himself, he begins to recognize that the glasses belong to the doctor who examined his eye, revealing that Stan had been disguised as the doctor. On the other hand, Leo confesses to Judy and Stan that the money from the robbery is not his true motive. Intrigued by Leo's revelation, Judy and Stan press Leo to reveal the true purpose of their robbery mission. Meanwhile, Carlos, disguised as a detective, visits Stan's shop and meets with Stan's sister in an attempt to locate him. However, Stan's sister denies any knowledge of his whereabouts. Suspicion arises, and Stan's sister reaches for a knife. In response, Carlos shoots them both and steals Stan's sister's phone, which holds potential information on Stan's location. In a sudden turn of events, Alpha arrives at the headquarters with a truck carrying bonds from an out-of-state source. Leo immediately tends to Alpha's wounds, and Alpha reveals that Bob is deceased, but they remain unaware of RJ's whereabouts. When they open the box containing the bonds, they discover that the majority of the contents are nothing more than plain paper. Accusations of betrayal fly among the group, but their confrontation is interrupted when Carlos and his men storm in, opening fire. Carlos demands to know the location of the bonds, and upon hearing Judy mention the letter's location, he proceeds there. However, Leo takes swift action, opening fire and eliminating Carlos and his men. The four of them quickly flee the scene. When the FBI team arrives at the location, they only find the bodies of Carlos and his men. Back at SLS, Hana catches the attention of the security officers as she intends to leave with a cart filled with papers. Roger, who has been struggling to reach Carlos, becomes increasingly concerned. Shortly after, Abbasi and Toby arrive with an official investigation letter. Roger leads them to his client's vault, claiming that it has been emptied and moved. He then reveals his personal vault, but upon opening it, they are shocked to find it filled with water. Roger is left dumbfounded as all his possessions have vanished without a trace. 6 months have passed since the SLS robbery, and despite his injuries that have left him unable to speak, Bob remains alive. Meanwhile, Abbasi's fellow agent provides an explanation about the actions of Leo's band of robbers. Abbasi begins to suspect that their diamond shop heist was carried out to fund a much larger operation. She proceeds to unveil the identities of the members of the robbery team, with Leo at the helm. As a result of the disappearance of the Dragon Trio's hundreds of trillions of dollars in bond, Roger has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. However, on that day, Bob pays a visit to Roger in prison and reveals that he was one of the perpetrators who broke into Roger's safe. Bob claims that his share of the stolen money was taken by his own accomplice. Furthermore, Bob explains that they also attempted to kill him and rob his wife, Judy. Bob proposes a deal to Roger. He will retrieve Roger's money on the condition that he is given $50,000. Roger agrees to pay him $20,000, but only if Bob successfully kills Leo. Meanwhile, Leo's health continues to deteriorate due to Parkinson's disease. He receives a voice message from Stan, who is currently in South Carolina, revealing the whereabouts of the bonds. Stan explains that he and Judy have run out of money. Bob, using the funds provided by Roger, hires 2 amateur assassins to assist him in his mission. Bob emphasizes that the mission is connected to billions of dollars. When Stan and Judy attempt to deceive someone with the false claim of Stan owns a vineyard, they encounter difficulties, leading them to abandon the scam. While heading home, Judy believes she spots RJ, but it turns out to be a different person who resembles him. In the meantime, Alpha takes Leo for swimming therapy in an effort to help him regain normal mobility. Meanwhile, Bob and his 2 associates visit the diamond fender, Javier, to extract information about Alpha's whereabouts. One of Bob's associates accompanies him inside, while the other keeps watch outside Javier's location. Meanwhile, Judy suggests to Stan that they sell the last remaining piece of jewelry that Bob had given to her. Upon learning about Javier's demise, Bob receives information indicating that Alpha and Leo are in Ohio. When Abasi receives a final warning from her boss, she is reminded not to disobey orders again, or else she will be fired. Meanwhile, Stan's attempt to sell Judy's jewelry proves unsuccessful as the store owner requests time to evaluate the pieces. Leo, dealing with seizures, relies on Alpha to administer medication to stabilize his condition. Later on, Stan tries to contact Leo, but Leo refuses to engage in conversation, leading Alpha to answer Stan's call instead. During their journey, Bob writes a letter to Judy, expressing his desire to repair their relationship after eliminating Stan. Meanwhile, Abasi receives information about the whereabouts of Stan and Judy, prompting her to head toward South Carolina. The following day, Bob and his 2 colleagues read the letter written by Bob. He becomes annoyed and proceeds to physically assault them. Later, Bob and his associates arrive at Alpha's house, but Alpha reacts quickly by opening fire, killing one of Bob's colleagues. Within her house, Alpha has strategically hidden weapons in various locations, preparing herself to confront the assassins. However, Bob manages to overpower Alpha and demands to know the whereabouts of Judy, Stan, and his $100 million. Inside Alpha's house, Bob discovers a cache of hidden weapons. In an unexpected turn of events, Teresa, Alpha's mother, intervenes and strikes Bob with a sword. Despite the attack, Bob remains unfazed due to his strength. In desperation, Alpha contacts Leo, urging him to bring the remaining $177,000 owned by Alpha. Nevertheless, Bob remains unsatisfied with the money and continues to demand information regarding the whereabouts of Stan and Judy. In the final moments, Leo sends a voice message to Stan, mistakenly believing it is Stan's contact number. Meanwhile, Bob proceeds alone to seek revenge, leaving his partner behind to watch over Leo, Alpha, and Teresa. Taking advantage of Bob's partner falling asleep, Leo and Alpha attempt to free themselves from the duct tape binding their hands. At the same time, Stan and Judy are spotted at the meeting location. Unbeknownst to them, Bob also heads to the same place with a gun. However, it turns out that the recipient of Leo's voice message was not Stan, but Abasi's agent. The agent is shocked by Bob's arrival, covered in blood. Meanwhile, Alpha manages to retrieve a hidden weapon under the dining table. Bob finds himself surrounded by several FBI agents, causing him to be taken by surprise. Tragically, Alpha and Teresa are shot by Bob's awake partner. In response, Abasi shoots and kills Bob for opening fire on the arresting officer. Leo eliminates Bob's partner, but Alpha cannot be saved. Judy, who was at a distance, discovers Bob's car, letter, and a bag full of money. In the end, she decides to leave Stan, who was having breakfast. Following the events, Leo has a video call with Hannah and his granddaughter, Liz, expressing his happiness. Meanwhile, Abasi's boss considers the case closed with the discovery of Alpha's body and the recovered diamond. However, Abasi still feels unsatisfied, sensing that something is missing from the case. Sometimes later, Leo walks into the tunnel, and someone follows him with the intent to kill him. The tension rises, and the scene shifts to the past, depicting the actions of Leo's team during the robbery of the SLS company vault. Abasi and Toby observe the team from a distance, waiting for information from Alpha. On the night of the Sahara storm in New York, the robbers set their plan in motion. Judy enters the water tunnel channel, while the rest of the team incapacitates security officers in the basement. Poison gas is released, causing the officers in the lobby to lose consciousness. RJ takes charge of driving the Bond truck. To manipulate the biometric sensors, they unleash thousands of wasps. Meanwhile, Roger, who is at his house, monitors the CCTV screen but fails to detect any suspicious activity due to the hacking of the CCTV system. The tension continues to escalate as Leo remains unaware of the person following him in the tunnel. In the meantime, Judy takes charge of using her magic potion to blow up the tunnel, causing the water to flood the safe room. Leo manages to enter the safe room undetected, wearing a digital mask that replicates Roger's face, tricking the security system. They attempt to deactivate the temperature sensor using water, but Judy's plan fails, leading Alpha to resort to blowing up the tunnel. Amidst the chaos, RJ urges Judy to leave the area quickly. The rising water eventually triggers the temperature sensor, prompting Stan and Bob to open the main door of the safe. Meanwhile, Roger contacts Hana to address the issue with the temperature sensor in his safe, but Hana assures him that everything is under control. Frustrated, Roger assigns Carlos to investigate the situation inside the safe. Once the main door of the safe is opened, Leo's team successfully secures $100 trillion worth of bonds, along with numerous boxes containing treasures, swiftly moving them to a secure location. Judy, who had been feeling moody, finally finds joy upon seeing the valuable bonds. In the midst of the heist, Alpha sends a message to Abasi, directing her to the 59th floor. Abasi and Toby notice a flash of light from a fired bullet, leading them to investigate the floor. However, they soon realize it was a trap, and the room appears empty. Nevertheless, they discover a computer device used to manipulate the security system. Amidst the unfolding chaos, Roger becomes aware that his safe has been breached and quickly informs Hana about the situation. Leo receives information from a reliable source that Roger is now aware of their actions. Judy takes the boxes containing the stolen bonds to the elevator, preparing to make their escape. However, an unexpected twist occurs when Hannah helps Liz exchange the original bonds for counterfeit ones, with the assistance of RJ. As the FBI moves in on their location, Bob decides to retreat and refuses to open another safe. Leo intervenes and successfully manages to open the safe, but to their surprise, they encounter additional security doors. Bob, known for his cunning nature and inclination to cause trouble, intentionally confines Leo and the others to take control of the situation himself. Meanwhile, RJ, who is guarding outside, becomes the target of Bob's aggression and is swiftly attacked. However, RJ manages to retaliate and opens fire on Bob. In a dramatic turn of events, Judy shoots RJ to protect herself and her team. They dispose of RJ's body by placing it in the trash, but their actions are witnessed by Stan, who flees the scene. In the midst of the commotion, Alpha receives instructions from Leo to leave the area, as he has other matters to attend to. While Bob continues his hunt for Stan, Judy seizes the opportunity and strangles Bob until he stops breathing. The newly emerged Alpha finds nothing significant in the area, aside from bloodstains and a truck. Alpha gets into the truck, only to be intercepted and shot by Abasi. However, Alpha manages to escape, leaving Abasi behind. Meanwhile, Leo discovers Roger's safe key in Roger's study. The dramatic turn of events continues as Alpha comes across Bob's seemingly lifeless body, only to discover that he is still alive with holes in his throat to enable him to breathe. Meanwhile, Carlos manages to catch Leo, but Hannah unexpectedly appears and comes to Leo's aid. Hannah reveals a shocking revelation to Leo. She is now in possession of all the bonds. To everyone's surprise, it turns out that Hannah had devised a plan of her own. She had orchestrated a scheme to return the bonds to the Dragon Trio, using insurance coverage as a way to protect their assets in case of loss. This involved creating a false scenario, making it appear as though their loot had been stolen, allowing them to claim the insurance money. Hana then opens up to Leo, explaining that she has her own life to live and cannot continue down the path of being a criminal like Leo. With this revelation, the series comes to an end. The moral of the story is that even in the most convoluted and unpredictable situations, always remember to double-check the status of the villain before declaring them defeated. They might just come back to cause more trouble, complete with holes in their throat. And don't let your plans get so complicated that you end up with wasps, fake diamonds, and a whole lot of trouble. Keep it simple, folks.